Japan. One of the most beautiful places on the planet, but in 2025 the country received a record-shattering 42.7 million international tourists.
And the capital is teeming with tourists.
Tourism, pollution.
いっぱいの人で賑わっています。
We're used to it. Every year, he says, people will come. It can't be helped.
But whilst Japan is dealing with its over-tourism problem, I wanted to visit a side of the country which at the moment has escaped this fate. So join me as I venture to one of Japan's hidden paradises. It's because there's literally nobody here. Well, it's raining, that's not a good start. I'm currently in Japan's third largest city, Osaka, famous for its food, its hospitality, and the bustling streets of Dotonbori. However, that can all be a little bit overwhelming sometimes, so I'm going to try and escape the crowds and find somewhere a little bit more relaxing. Naha e yokoso, or welcome to Naha. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, Okinawa isn't that, underground, unknown about, but honey. I don't know why I've done that. But this isn't the end. We have a second part to our journey, a second leg, which hence why I'm up at, what is it? Just gone 7, about 10 past 7. We are walking to a ferry port to head to another island, but that will all be revealed later on in the video. It'll all fall into place. But yeah, last night I was absolutely cream crackered for no good reason. I mean, my flight here was only 2.5 hours. It did get delayed by 2 hours, so just sitting in the airport for a while. But yeah, I just felt exhausted. So I got in, ordered a curry, and then maybe the most heinous event of humankind ever happened. So I've ordered this curry without even thinking really, and there's no cutlery in the Airbnb. So I've had to resort to primal measures. And when I arrived, they gave us these free toothbrushes in. You know where this story is going. Just don't judge me, all right? They gave us these free toothbrushes in little packs. So I had to eat a curry with a toothbrush. It was mortifying, humiliating, but it got the job done. And I'll put a picture up on screen. But with that being said, let's get going. So, it was at this point whilst walking to the ferry port I got an email explaining that the ferry I was meant to be boarding had been cancelled. But just as the trip looked all but over before I'd even really began, something inside me pushed me to just ask somebody if there was any way I could make it to my destination. And well, this is what happened. すみません。Tokashiki 切符はどこですか？Tokashiki はこれ。はいはいはい。切符は駅の。はい。Arigato. Right, my original boat was cancelled, but a very kind man has told me you can buy a ticket for a different ferry that is running today, so we can get to the island. Come on. And with that minor crisis averted, I subsequently boarded my ferry and set sail. Now, let me reveal where we really are, if you didn't already work it out from the fact I asked someone where to get a ticket for the ferry was, and it said the destination on the side of the boat. But other than that, let me tell you all, we are on an island called Tokashiki. I believe that's how you say it, Tokashiki. Listen to the birds, man. There's just no one here. It's really cool. I'm just gonna walk to a beach. Now, you can actually get a bus from where the ferry docks over to a beach on the other side of the island, but I thought it's only a 2-mile walk, and I want to see more of the island anyway, so I'll just walk it, and it seems I'm the only one to have had that idea. I don't know whether it's because it's 31 degrees and people don't fancy trekking in this weather, or whether the mountainous terrain is putting people off, but I don't mind the walk. I don't mind this. This is what I live for. I've got 2 legs for a reason. I might as well use them. What on earth was that very foreboding siren just blaring out? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. There's a road behind me, but there's no houses here. So what does that signify? Have they just let out some ungodly beasts to just hunt people down on this island? Because look at it. I mean, dinosaurs could still live here for all you know. There's a goat. I was just about to say there's loads of chickens behind that hedge, but forget the chickens. There's a goat. And it's not me. Sorry. Hello, mate. Aw. Has anyone ever said they don't like a goat? And if you do, it's a you problem, not the goat's problem. I was going to say we're walking along a main road, but I've seen about 3 cars in the last 10-15 minutes, so I can't really say it's that main. I think it's the main road of this island, but in terms of road sense, it's not got much traffic flow. I do think you also have to be a little bit careful just walking along the road, not for cars, but more in the sense there's a lot of dead leaves, which I think, like snakes, like to bask on the hot tarmac, so they can be hiding amongst the leaves. And I think they can be poisonous here. I think there are several kinds of poisonous snake. But look how steep this is getting. Start to see why I'm the only one walking. Also, the camera does not do that justice. That is an incredibly steep hill. How are these roads better than England's? Literally had a bloody typhoon 48 hours ago. I still haven't seen a pothole. Look guys, we're in the clouds. Right, I'm probably drenched in sweat and I probably stink of dog poo, but when we get down to the beach, we're gonna have a much deserved dip, and then I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about the island. I just got a glimpse of the beach and the bay, and it just made me laugh to myself. I just think how privileged I am to be doing this. That is not real. That's not real. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, I was preparing myself for beauty. But I don't even think I could have prepared for this level of it. That's incredible. Hey, not a bad view, right? And I'm not talking about this one, I'm talking about that one. But no, in all seriousness, that is absolutely breathtaking. I think probably the most stunning beach I've ever seen in my life. Also, just for reference, we were all the way up here when we started winding down this mountain here. Which gives you an indication of, I think, why people don't walk it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tokashiki Island, home to 621 permanent residents nestled 45 kilometers off the shores of Okinawa and spanning 6 miles long. This is well and truly one of Japan's best kept secrets. Tokashiki is one of the most breathtaking places I have ever had the pleasure of laying my eyes upon. This island is a part of the Kerama National Park archipelago and is a sanctuary for wildlife. But despite the island's stunning beauty, it has managed, for the most part, to escape the uncontrollable crowds of tourists that plague cities like Naha, Tokyo and Osaka, with the island's biggest protection from the crowds being its pure isolation. Tokashiki is only accessible by a ferry that runs twice a day, and for several months of the year the island is hit by heavy typhoons. In fact, there was a typhoon just 48 hours before I arrived. But whilst I was here, I didn't just want to lay on the golden beaches and swim in the turquoise waters. I wanted to find out what life was actually like living in paradise, and if Japan's boom in tourism was even affecting the remotest of islands. But first, I had something very important to do. And that was pretend to be Jack Shepherd from Lost.
Last week, most of us were strangers.
But we're all here now. And God knows how long we're gonna be.
Here. But if we can't live together,
then we are gonna die alone.
So after messing around on the beach for a couple of hours, I decided to find somewhere to eat, and that's when I stumbled across Maya, the owner of a small sandwich truck parked along the beachfront. I ended up chatting to her and a Namibian couple for several hours. We shared our stories and enjoyed some delicious food together. It was honestly such a wholesome afternoon. But afterwards, Maya kindly agreed to tell me a little bit more about what life on Tokashiki Island is actually like. Tokashiki sushin desu ka? I'm not originally from this island, but I moved here around 8 years ago. What made you want to live here? When I was in my 20s, I came here for the first time on a trip from Himeji and fell in love with it. After that, I kept visiting regularly as a tourist, but eventually realised I wanted to try living here full time, so I finally decided to make the move. How long have you owned your business?
My business 英語で喋っちゃった6年目になります。
Hi, 6 years. Hi.
2020年からスタートして今で6年目です。
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What is your favourite part about living here?
サンセット。
The sunset. I really love the sunset at Aharon Beach. Also, the people here are so kind. Everyone feels like one big family, which makes it a very easy and comfortable place to live. I will leave a link to Maya's sandwich shop down below in the description, and it would mean the world if you could go and support her business. But after a lovely chat with her, I was quickly running out of daylight, so I was forced to take drastic measures. We're currently hitchhiking up a mountain. What an absolute legend. But yeah, it was just very wholesome. Bloke pulled over, asked if I wanted a lift to the top of the hill, and I said yes, and hopped in the back of his truck. That is one thing though. The spiders. Oh, fucking massive. That spider is huge, and I believe it's poisonous, so I'm going to vacate the area immediately. Yeah, so I've just walked past a sign on this reservoir gate that says no swimming. And we are, bear in mind, about 10-minute walk away from the most beautiful scenic beach I've ever seen in my life. Surely that sign doesn't have to exist. Goaty goaties, where are you? Papa's back to play. That sounds quite odd, actually. No, I'm not here, like, not in a weird way, just like in a friendly, loving way. Like a pure friendship way. Yeah, there's one staring at me. Hello, Mr. Goat. How art thou today? Yeah, there's his little gaff. In London, that's probably about £2 a month as well. Look at that thing. It's even got a little ensuite built into its flooring. And after a half-an-hour hike, we've made it to the hotel. Let's go check in. How do I get in? Hi, konnichiwa. Hi, check-in dakimasu ka? Hi. And here we have the room. It's actually quite nice. I mean, it's a lot smaller than I thought. There's a very sunburnt me. Hello, everyone. And I think this is a queen size bed. Little TV on the wall up here, and then I haven't actually seen. Take it. This is the toilet. Yeah, toilet, and then in here must be the bathroom. What have we got working with? Oh wow, this is very compact. This is like it's like a bathroom on a cruise ship. But yeah, no, very nice, complete room. What a lovely room. I mean, it only cost me like, I want to say like 40 something quid. So you can't complain. I mean, it's clean. I wouldn't say it's spacious, but it's definitely not cramped in here. And then you get some nice amenities as well. Look at these. Hairdryer, towels, robe. That's the hotel I'm staying at. And look at its symbol. A goat. How fitting, because we've seen lots of them today. It's been a bit of a running theme here in Tokashiki. Or Tokashiki, I believe. Goats. Well, maybe that's subliminal messaging, suggesting that this island itself is the goat. Mic drop. Very sunburnt mic drop. Hey yo, fit check. What are we saying to the hotel garments as well? Oh yeah, flexing that free shampoo and body lotion from reception. One thing that did come included in the room price is breakfast, which I've booked for 8 AM, but the latest you can book it is 8:30, so I'm gonna have to have a slightly early night. But then again, how crazy is a Tokashiki karaoke bar really gonna be? AKA Pandemi downing 800 pints and singing Oasis on the table. So, after having a shower and getting changed, I decided I'd walk down to the port and try to watch the sunset. Now, Tokashiki is renowned for being one of the most stunning sunsets you can come across in the entirety of Japan due to the complete absence of light pollution. But unfortunately, due to the fog on this particular night, I struck out. And knowing somewhere behind all that seemingly endless grey was an explosion of colour, it was in that moment I vowed to return to Tokashiki, so I can see this famous sunset with my very own eyes. But until that moment, I guess this isn't a bad view to look upon. But after listening to the sounds of the waves crash against the concrete where my ferry had docked just 11 hours earlier, I decided to head back into town to grab some food. At one of only 3 restaurants there, a tiny place called Izakaya Marine Box, ran by an extremely kind husband and wife in their 70s. Now, they requested not to be on camera, but treated me with warm hospitality, and even told me about their granddaughter, who was one of 40 students in the island's only middle school. They explained to me that many of the children born on Tokashiki Island end up moving to the mainland as soon as they're old enough in search for job opportunities, something that is very hard to find on a remote island in the Pacific Ocean. They did, however, say although Tokashiki's population, much like most of rural Japan, is in a steady decline, they themselves relocated to Tokashiki from Tokyo due to their love of the ocean. And they have now lived on the island for over 25 years, and said during peak tourist months, the island even receives an influx in visitors, in turn transforming their quaint seaside restaurant into a bustling social hub. And whilst I sat there eating delicious local food and listening to all of their stories, it made me realise that Tokashiki's isolation is both a blessing and a curse. It's the reason the island's natural beauty remains so untouched by the masses, but it's also why the younger generation eventually have to leave. Listen to the frogs in the drain. They even have a police station here. There's a single patrol car. I take it there's a prison cell in there somewhere. Do you think anybody has ever visited this island and had to spend the night in jail? In there? So, after demolishing my breakfast, the hotel's owner Yukai kindly agreed to talk to me about his business and what life on the island was like for him. How long have you owned your hotel? I've been lodging for over 40 years now, and I'm a 3rd generation hotel owner. Before I took over from the previous owner, this place was just a small inn. But every year we see a slight increase in overseas visitors. What made you want to move from Tokyo to Tokashiki? I first visited this island on a school trip and fell in love with it. I was moved by its natural beauty, so as soon as I grew up, I moved here. What is your favourite part about living on the island? Although it's over an hour away from Okinawa via ferry, the island itself is beautiful and wild. The locals are warm and friendly, and I enjoy hosting guests at my hotel. Has the island seen an increase in visitors in the last decade? Let's see. Before COVID, around 20% of all tourists were from overseas, but that fell to 0 during the pandemic. But ever since then, it's been slowly recovering. However, in the last decade or so, we have seen more overseas tourists than we have ever seen before. Why do you think there's been an increase in visitors? I think with Google, more people can research the untouched natures where almost nobody is around here. Overseas tourists come here to experience the beautiful ocean and natural beauty, and with social media, the word is starting to spread about this remote place. Yukai-san, arigatou gozaimasu, dozo yoroshiku. After our chat, Yukai kindly offered to take me to Tokashiki's most populated area, as well as its most famous beach, Aharen. Now that's some hospitality you wouldn't get at a Premier Inn.
Right, the plan of attack for my last day on Tokashiki Island is I'm going to go swimming to try and find a turtle. Hopefully, I really want to see a wild turtle. That would be so cool. So we'll go swimming there. Now, I don't know if the camera's even picking it up, but there is, above the top of my head right now, there is a mountain, which is covered out. I mean, it's covered in mist, the peak of it. And up there is an observation deck, which I originally wanted to hike towards. But unfortunately, I just think in these conditions, there's going to be no visibility up there, and it's not worth me doing like a, I don't know, 2-hour round trip and getting all hot and sweaty for the likelihood of seeing nothing. So I'm going to chill on the beach today. And like I said, try and find a turtle, which I think would be cool for the vlog anyway. But yeah, let's go try and find a turtle and just chill out.
So, I've decided to make a tactical £5 purchase. Cue the epic transition. Ooh, who deployed snorkel ops on Tokashiki Island? Spoiler alert, I did. Unfortunately, even after equipping myself with snorkeling gear, I still couldn't find a turtle. I ended up swimming about a mile into the bay and saw a plethora of beautiful fish, and even found something rarer, a poisonous sea snake. But alas, no turtle. And after about 2 hours of searching, I called it in and went into town to grab some food. So, Operation Find a Turtle was a big failure, but we saw a sea snake, which is, I believe they're rarer to see. So, in some ways we've won, but you also don't want to get near a sea snake because they're poisonous and they can kill you. But I'm taking that as a win. Arigatou gozaimasu. As I soaked in the last couple of hours in this hidden paradise, I reflected on my time in Tokashiki. I'd ventured to the island with a vision of how I wanted this film to be. I wanted a glorious sunset, to find a turtle, and to hike up to the highest viewpoint on the island, and show this place in the best possible way I could think of. However, for a number of reasons, I just wasn't able to this trip. I couldn't showcase Tokashiki how I'd initially envisioned. But plans change, and I think this movie shows this place really is a natural paradise, inhabited by some of the kindest locals I've ever met. Because truthfully, it doesn't need a vibrant sunset or a high vantage point to make this place look majestic. From Mai to Yukai, all the way to the man I hitchhiked up a mountain with. Tokashiki is a very special place, and for now, it's largely untouched by over-tourism. And as Yukai kindly picked me up and took me to the ferry port on the other side of the island, I felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. Not only had I seen and done some truly unforgettable things in my time here, but I'd learned about life on the island. And I think a testament to how special this place truly is just how many people left their lives in the busy cities to move here. As I said earlier, this place's isolation is both a blessing and a curse. It serves as an untouched sanctuary for wildlife to exist unapologetically, but it also means locals have to venture adrift in order to find jobs. But there's one thing for certain. Tokashiki is as close to paradise as I think I've ever seen.